Let's see here. We got streaming. Pages going. Get it started. It's kicking. It's rocking. It's rolling. It's streaming. Yes. Thank you. It's starting. It's starting. It's sitting here looking at me. It's not doing anything. Yes, we are live. It's been, according to this, 23 seconds I've been sitting here talking to myself. Hooray! Once again, welcome back. It's Reality Check coming to you over the YouTubes for Spleen Squeezins, where I vent my various opinions, deeply held personal issues, and maybe occasionally do some actual drawing. Hello, how are you all doing? Guess what? I'm overdosed on caffeine! Yes, I drank, I think, 3 cans of energy drink in the past, 7 or 8 hours. So I'm vibrating like a tuning fork. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. Finished up that page last time. Need to start on the next page for the probability bomb. Let's see here, new. Yay! Latte! Proposition! Pam, 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 pam. You know what? I really, I don't know. Okay, what I'm going to do, what I think I'm going to do for the rest of it is I'm going to pencil in what I want, but I'm going to leave the heads blank for everybody, the main characters, so that I can decide at a different point who gets put where. What I should have done at the beginning, really. Right now, I suppose I'm, right now I'm just, I don't know, maybe I need therapy or something, because, I'm always unhappy. I'm always anxious about something. And if I can't think of what it is, I grab something and fill in the blanks with it. I don't know. As I said before, this first Kickstarter campaign, which I have done, has proven to be something of a learning experience, to say the least. Figuring out, certain things you should do, certain things you shouldn't do. If you're going to do pre-commissioned work like this, there are certain things you need to make more specific. I had forgotten. Now, in my comics, I used to do a lot of cameo commissions where people would pay me a fixed amount of money, and their character would appear in the strip. Sometimes for 1 or 2 strips, sometimes for 5 or more. And and basically that was where I was going with the probability bomb. I figured this was just the next step. What I didn't realize is that, among other things, I wasn't simply increasing to the next level. I was increasing the complexity of the job geometrically, I believe is the term. Because for every extra person you add, I also went, for every extra person you add, the story gets more complex. let's see here. So you can imagine, you know. And this thing, I've still got to sit down and sort out who's got what and where and when. I've done this so much. I've gone through and had to resort the paperwork at least 3 times since starting because of various issues. So, okay. Divide frame border. Okay, this page is where we get to see who our villain's sponsors are. You got to figure is he might be independently wealthy, but not independently wealthy enough to pay for everything he's gotten and done. So here's where we meet the Order. I'm trying to think of a name for them that's indicative of what they are. Basically, they're the first nihilist order. Picture, if you will, militant agnostics. They're basic. You know, they call themselves a philosophical order, but they are essentially a religion that is materialist, postmodernist, nihilist, and very militant about it. Let's put the difference between an agnostic and a militant. Agnostic. Agnostic says, I don't know. The militant agnostic says, I don't know and you can't either. They are devoted to spreading postmodernist philosophy and exterminating any belief in any sort of higher state of being. They are supporting Dr. Flatfoot's efforts to prove evolution true, quote unquote, because they know that, or they believe that doing so will shatter the faith of billions of living beings. It's for your own good, though, you know. You know how that song and dance goes. We need to teach, we need to break you of this childish habit of believing in fairy tales like a higher being or a higher, or so on and so forth. You get the idea. Don't pretend that you haven't met one of these pretentious asshats in real life. If you went to public school at any point in your life, you have. One of the most common confrontations between a kid and his teacher. Well, my parents don't believe this stuff, and I don't believe this stuff. My parents don't believe this stuff. And the teacher goes, "Oh, you have to understand. Your parents aren't as your parents are from another time, and they really don't understand these things. And we're much more scientifically advanced than they were in their day." And really, you have to grow up and think for yourself now, and give up some of these childish fairy tale beliefs. Let's call them the Order Nihilists. Really got to get some more things to put in the slideshow. It's getting kind of boring. Okay, we got 35 pages thus far. That's a pretty good run so far. Let's see. I gotta pull up the. images. Oh, bugs. I hate bugs. 3D ship simulator. Here we go. Shaped right. If I had a little more control over this particular ship creating tool, I'd be all over it. Already got SketchUp, I think. SketchUp and mustard. Don't ask me where that came from. I just, okay, let's see. don't get time to learn a new 3D program. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, don't say that too loud, Remdog. That you glossed over the evolution. They'll come back and try and sue your teacher or something for that. I'm really not sure what I need to do, Rimdog. Sort of scatterbrained at the moment. As I recall, I downloaded this program and then ended up deleting it. I can't even remember why. When they make a 3D program for little kids, I'll be all over that. Yeah, does that sound ridiculous? But because really though, you think about it, any other kind of art form, you start out with the little kiddie stuff first. They have books on how to draw Disney cartoons or Marvel comics, everything that are written and designed simply enough for a child to use. You know, an 8-year-old kid can go in, buy the Draw Comics the Marvel Way book, and start using what he sees. But when it comes to 3D art, rendering things in 3D, almost nothing out there is made to be used by a completely raw beginner. Or it is, but even the simplest ones start out with the expectation that you've already jumped over the learning curve. If you get what I'm saying. I've described most 3D art programs. I've tried several different kinds. Tried learning them and steep learning curve. I've described it. The best way to describe it that I've found is it's like trying to learn how to assemble a ship in a bottle through a keyhole with a bottle on one side and you on the other. You want to learn how to draw, you pick up a pen and draw. You want to learn how to draw on a computer, you pick up a pen, draw on the computer. You use a tablet or something. But when it comes to making something in 3D, you want to do that in real life, you pick up a lump of Play-Doh, mushy, 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 and there you go. And you start out like that. But on a computer, no comparison. I'm a little tired. It's been kind of a long day. I had to run out and get some money orders. Had to buy a hand pump, a siphon pump, so I could drain my sink. My sink lines are still clogged, and so I went out. Used the last of that Lowe's card I had and bought myself a plastic hand pump. Took me a while to figure out how to work it, but it's one of those instructions made in Taiwan kind of things. But it's it drained the sinks and works just fine. So. Oh goodness. Go to the store, bought a few things. Did what I promised myself, went to the dollar store. And it's just exhausting. Having to go to more than one store is exhausting because I have to lumber myself in and out of the vehicle every time I stop. So. Goodness. Been running on energy drinks and McDonald's chicken sandwich most of the day, and starting to slow up. Just give me a little while. I'll probably perk back up once I work it out through my, work out the caffeine out of my system. It's going to be a little bit. I literally just the needle just went over to empty. I've eaten. Okay, I'm just just mm, mm. Oh goodness, I am not joking when I say I'm. Whoa! When I started tonight, I was going gung ho. Now I feel like you know, the red fuel light is blinking. I'll do what I can. I'm just I used up all my energy in the first half hour. But let's talk general subjects for a while. Try and regain my boost. Well, much to consider, much to do, much to think about. Uh, excuse me. This is a really neutralized state of affairs. I started out gung ho today, and just I feel like a deflated balloon. Oh, yuck. my, oh my, oh my, oh my. I really don't want to drink any more energy drinks. Sorry I'm not more on the ball, folks. It's been a long, rough day. Just going out shopping is something of an ordeal. It really is. Had to go out and get some money orders to send to the landlord and get a few things at the store and get a water pump so I could drain my sink. So back and forth, just getting in and out of the vehicle 3 times was a drag. Yeah, not too many people seem to know about the old anime Unico. I haven't seen any crossovers or any stories or anything like that. So that leaves an open field for me. Yay! Spaceships Creator and Simulator. Let's see what we got here. Interesting. Kind of a piece of crap, but not very interesting. Just trying to... Ouch. Dang. Okay, this claims... SketchUp claims to be the easiest 3D program, easiest way to draw in 3D. Let's download it. Let's save it. I'll poke around in it later. Cute. Damn, my knuckle hurts. Pardon my language. That's... left hand hurts like the dickens. What I'm looking for is basically I want to use a 3D program so I can design things like buildings, spaceships, various other things that are going to be reappearing over and 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 over in the comic strips and comic books so that I can render them once. Then I can just pose them in my art program, just boop, and cut and paste and stick them in place. Can you dig what I'm saying? Oh, come on, computer. Okay, let's see here. Now we install it. Yes. We are installing SketchUp Make. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. Like I said before, when they design a program that a toddler can use, that a small child can use, the way a child can use a crayon, or well, you get the idea. Then they'll have reached a point where they've created something that's actually useful for an artist like myself. Downloading it now. Yay. Yeah. It was adorable, though. I liked it. There were certain things that didn't translate well, I don't think. For instance, in Eastern mythology, Oni, there's certain things that didn't translate well between Eastern mythology and Western culture. Western society, they hear about Oni, O-N-I, and they call them demons. But in Eastern mythology, the Oni weren't exactly demons. They some were good, some were evils. They were powerful supernatural entities. But it was Western bias that resulted in them being translated as demons. And in fact, if you think about the Eastern dragon, the Chinese dragon, arguably there's a lot of differences, enough differences between an Eastern Chinese dragon and a European dragon that that it's questionable whether the mythical creature should have been called a Chinese dragon in the first place. But there was enough similarities that the name got, slapped on. So there's one section where there's one part in Unico and the Island of Magic. That's the one that I saw, where Unico and his friend promise to help. They find a bunch of a bunch of baby demons, or should have been called baby Oni, and they. And it turns out that the Lord Kuruku has turned all their parents into living puppets, and they promised to help them. But anyway, it really bugged the hell out of my dad. They're demons, for crying out loud! What are you doing? Just a concept that didn't translate. Western civilization tends, because of the influence of Christianity, especially Catholicism, they tend to take any mythology and try and divide the camps into good and evil. They try and draw parallels, and those parallels don't always match. For instance, the idea of Loki there's pretty good there's some good evidence that the supposed apocalypse of Norse mythology, the Götterdämmerung, the Ragnarok, was actually compiled and created long after Christianity had encroached into the Celtic and Nordic regions. And there's suggestion that there's basically that the original Norse version was badly mangled and rewritten due to Catholic influences. Now, originally, the Norse god Loki was not an evil deity. He was the god of fire and mischief, and he was a trickster. But the Catholics came in and looked at him and said, oh, he's the devil. And he became the villain in later compilations of Norse mythology. Up to and including being the main villain of the Twilight of the Gods. Precisely, Adrian. But again, Catholic. One of the common practices of Catholicism was, one of the things that the Catholic Church did in order to expand its influence was that they would try to, sort of engulf any folklore, tradition, or culture that they came across. They would try to absorb it, Christianize it, or Catholicize it, more accurately. This is why we have Yule trees and Yule logs on Christmas. This is why Christmas is held near the winter equinoxes, the winter solstice, rather. This is why they have Easter eggs and rabbits on Easter. Apparently, the egg and the rabbit were the symbols of the goddess of fertility, Oestra. Not Olestra. Olestra is the stuff that they tried to put in potato chips to replace fat that gave everybody diarrhea. We're talking Oestra, O-E-S-T-R-E, from which we get the word estrus, estrogen, etc. And for obvious reasons, rabbits and eggs were both symbols of her cult, her following, because they were symbols of fertility. But the Catholic Church came in and sort of said, nom, 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 and swallowed them down and started rewriting the culture. And eventually their version of the folklore overtook the original. The only religious holiday that Catholicism really failed to absorb was Halloween. Originally, it was the day. Halloween was Samhain or the Day of the Dead, or just various cultural practices at that time. It was a time of the darkest time of the year, but they tried to rewrite it as All Hallows Eve, and they tried to make November 1st All Saints Day, All Souls Day, and it didn't sell. Halloween pretty much remained the oogie boogie Day of the Dead that it always was, and pretty much the only thing that got absorbed was the name Halloween. Hijacked by Jesus. That's, maybe they should say hijacked by the Pope, because I really don't think that Jesus had anything to do with it. Oh, you're saying that Airstray was fabricated after the fact? Well, take your pick, though. There were plenty of fertility goddesses that could have fit in the bill, Anyway, finish. It's also why they have, I believe it is, they passed a statue of Hercules off as a statue of a priest. I forget which one was it the statue of, I forget which statue it was. There was a statue of a Greek mythological figure that the Catholic Church renamed as being of a biblical figure. I think it was a statue of David. I'm trying to remember there. It is just a load of codswallop, really. It's now, what have they created? They've created a bunch of days that people worship more than God himself. Really? I mean, seriously. Okay, we got SketchUp here. Let's see. Yeah, this is the program that I downloaded before. I don't want a 30-day trial of SketchUp Pro. I just want to know what I'm doing here. It's layout, style builder, exporting to other file formats. Start using SketchUp. Select a template. Feet and inches. Okay. Meters. Start using SketchUp. Dun 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 dun. If I can do this, if I can learn to use this. Oh, what the hell are you, buddy? Delete. If I can intuit how to do it, I have no idea what I'm making here. Let's see, is there a way to rotate this? Yes, I have no idea what I'm making. What I just... Ah! What is... Okay. I made a thing! I don't know what it is. Delete. Undo. Okay. I don't know what I did. I think I drew a rectangle. That's how we draw a line. That's how do we rotate? Here we go. It's not drawing the way it's not doing what I wanted to do. It's drawing in corners and circles, but it's not doing what I want. Aye! That's not working either. Ta-da! Ta-da! Oh, we're learning. We are learning. This is an extrusion tool. That's very nice. I can shrink it. I can change it. I can bend it. I can delete it. There we go. And then we shrink it. We shrink it. We can shrink it like this. Like this. Like this. Okay. I made a rhomboid, I think. And now we change it back to extrude. We got... I made a funnel. Yay. Look. Behold my artistic genius! We are living, we are learning, we are growing. And this extrude to us. T. Woo. I can make the weird freaky shapes. Look at this. I don't know what it is, but it looks like I had a hangover when I drew it. Okay. I'm starting to believe that this program is actually what I've been looking for. Oh, I don't know what this is. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Shrink-a-diggy. Shrink-a-diggy. Shrink the whole thing here. Near. Then we go near. I can do near. Look at that. Yeah, that's awesome. He's kind of special. Yes. I can add colors. Yeah, look. Textures. Maybe some flavors. 9. Oh, look. It is a house for MC Escher. We're floating upside down. That's where. I have such a hangover. Dun, 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 dun. Yes. By Jove, I think I'm on to something. Brick. Asphalt. Look at this. You bet your asphalt. Look, it's got all sorts of textures in there. Look at that. Yeah. Plenty to work with. Look at that. And asphalt and concrete, brick, carpet, colors, ground cover. Ground cover, gravel. Ooh, look, gravel. Yay. Look at these. Okay, this program might actually be useful. This must be the updated version. I remember when the last time I uploaded, I couldn't get it to do anything. I couldn't figure it out. Metals. Oh, check it out. Yeah, I should be able to draw a decent spaceship with this thing. Once I figure out the basics. sketchy. Oh, look at this. They even had pencil line style stuff. Yeah. Isn't that neat? Isn't that special? Oh, look at that. Dun, 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 dun. Do they have any starship-looking crap?
This is fun.
Geometric shapes. Oh, look at that. Tiles and crap. Look at that. See? I do believe this program has potential. Oh, it even has wood patterns. Look at that. Yeah. With a little work, you know, once I learn a few things about this program. Ooh, water. Yay.
It is floaty cube of liquid flying in space. I don't know what that is.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Seems to increase the geometric complexity there. Oh, it actually made it transparent. Look at that. Oh, that's something. Isn't that something? Look at that. Yeah, it made it transparent. How about that?
It's a big ice cube. Yeah.
Stone, tile, vegetable, vegetation. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Yeah, now. Bugs flying in my face. Uh-huh, yeah. Now this... tonal patterns. Oh, halftone.
For when you want your drawing to look like it came out of a comic book or a newspaper. Oh, little parallel lines, little dots. Metal material symbols. This is for when you want the lines, and yes. Yeah. More brick. Yes. Blinds. I'm blind. Oh, look, it even has, you know, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Look at this. Fencing. Oh, look at that. Ha. Oh, it made it transparent again. Look at that. See-through fencing. Yeah. Neat. Let me rotate it around so you can see that. See, you can see through it. That is awesome. That is so awesome.
And here is chain link fence. Transparent chain link fence. You can see through it. And it's official. I'm impressed. Oh, look, it's grating. Wicker fence. Look at that. I can make a wicker spaceship. Look at that. Look at that. That is awesome. Okay, I'm as impressed with this program as I was with Manga Studio when I first got it. And I'll say this much, you know, I'm still impressed with Manga Studio. So don't make no mistake, like Manga Studio, you know. No, it's still awesome, you know. But look at this. I can make it out of blue mesh. Oh, it's so nifty. Roofing, ground cutter, markers, colors named. There. Blinds, asphalt, carpet. You bet your asphalt. Water, wood, roofing, stone. Just got a basic materials here. Metal tile, embossed metal panel. Ta-da. Look at that. For some reason, that panel isn't adjusting. It probably some glitch I made there. It's just, yeah. It's got wood and water and bricks. Look at this. It's just fun. And it's got a little instructor here. It shows you what each tool does. There's something that every art program should have. You click a tool, it has a little animated thing right here in the corner. It says, "This is how it works." Stupid. This is what it's supposed to do. Dumb coffin. Material symbols. Colors. Got it. Red. There we go. Ta-da! Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. All right, Junior, put down the toy. It's time to get back to work. Camera view, get models. You can get, ooh, they've got a 3D warehouse. They download models. Pre-made. Layouts. Yes, push and pull. Okay, let's stop that. Okay, no, don't save it. Don't save it, we're just practicing. It has an arch tool. I don't know if we can make a sphere. Okay, I'll be right back. I gotta... Time to let... Now that I've rented that energy drink for a while, it's time to let it go. Be right back.
For those of you who are wondering what the chatter in the background is, that's not the background. It is a sound effect. It is called, you go to coffeetivity.com, www.coffeetivity.com. Coffeetivity. It's just basically, it's a library of, cafe chatter for background. I got tired of listening to the rain all the time from Rainy Tin Shack, so I hunted around and found a little one that simulates a cafe bistro, so that can sound like, all pretentious and crap. I wonder what it says about our economy that dollar stores are a growth industry. It's just interesting. It's back years ago, back 10 years ago, a dollar store, you get in, you basically junk. Nothing much of real value or anything. But now, you can go in there. They have a frozen foods section. They have a frozen food section. They have a dairy section. They have snack foods and canned goods and regular foods. I did some grocery shopping at the dollar store today. I like the fact you know exactly what you're going to spend. You go in, you get $20. You're going to get 20 items. So there you go. I bought some like lunch meat and some sausage, breakfast sausage, and what else? Some chips and dip, and some pickles and grape jelly, and just food of various types. And I didn't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how much I was getting per ounce. You know what I'm saying? It's not like when you're shopping in another store. You go to another store and you're comparing prices between 5 different brands of nacho chips, for instance. Oh, this one is $129 for 18 ounces, and this one is $149 for 23 ounces. Which is the better deal? Oh, you go in. There's the bag. It's $1. You know what you're getting. Plus, they have a lot of things that are, in one-person sizes. When you're a single guy, there's easier ways. You can probably go to a store and, get a great deal on mayonnaise, in the 5-gallon tub. But, one of the things I love is steak sauce. I love steak sauce. I love A1 steak sauce. Name brand or regular brand. I love A1 steak sauce on burgers and on steak and on chicken and stuff. And But you go there and you got A1 in 3 or 4 different bottle sizes, and several generic brands in 3 or 4 different bottle sizes, and you're going, which one is the better per ounce price? I go into the Dollar Tree and bing, whatever steak sauce they have, $1. Save you a ton of time figuring things out. Yes, in America, the dollar stores sell everything for $1. That's why they're called dollar stores. There appears to be a sociopath in my comments section. A foul-mouthed sociopath. Okay, details, please. Oh, my film fiction. Okay, I figured he was talking about that. I'm assuming in Darth Vulcan. I sort of skimmed over that. You get some Nietzsche wannabe in the comments every now and then. Just a troll. Ignore him. Ooh. Spicy. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to switch in between the pages. Dang it, what is wrong with these flies? What, just why in God's name does a housefly, you swat at it, and it will land precisely, exactly where it was the moment before. Now, if I saw a hand the size of a building hurtling out of the sky at me, and I managed to dodge that mother, the last thing in the world I would do is run back and stand right in the middle of where it had just struck. But a housefly, no, it lands on your face, you slap it, it'll buzz around and land right back in the exact same spot on your nose. I think those things are just evil. Just the bug just sitting there and just do it again. Come on, swat a little harder. So we can mash his nose flat. Hell. Excuse me. hate bugs. Hate them. They make me cranky. See, this is why I want to make 3D models, because when I try and render spaceships and crap, without it, they look like crap. I end up taking shortcuts and they look like crap, guys. You know. Try to ignore the people in the background. They're just saying watermelon cantaloupe over and over and over again. Ha ha. In case you're wondering, that's a Hollywood joke. That's what they do when they have a crowd scene. Everybody's supposed to be talking at the same time. Oh no, blah 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 blah. Actually, the people in the people in the mob are told to say watermelon cantaloupe, watermelon cantaloupe, watermelon cantaloupe. Over and over again, because with them all talking over each other, that's how it sounds, like a crowd of people talking. Remember how I made fun of the USS Enterprise for being a badly designed, imbalanced ship? Here you go. Well, get off. I hate flies. I've got screen doors now. Kind of pointless at this point. This little bastard's already inside. Gonna be 3 or 4 generations of little stinkers before I finally get rid of them all. This is the point where you play the theme from V'ger, from Star Trek, the first Star Trek movie, when they're flying into V'ger's cloud, all ominous and crap. Yes, I will eventually get back to the story arc in. I'll get back. Eventually everything. I'm gonna have to eventually everything. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see if I can find it. So just basically, this is one of the what I was saying earlier. The people flying the Cathedral spaceship are Dr. Blackfoot's sponsors. The Order of Nihilists. They're a interplanetary organization of, basically nihilists. Militant nihilists. A nihilist is somebody who says, my life has no meaning, and a militant one is, and neither does yours. Let's see. What am I looking at? Okay. Okay, open link in new tab. See if I can find it. Grind. Here we go. Here we go. Just try and groove to that as you contemplate. There's a big old friggin' ship. Here we go. Yeah. Ooga booga. Dun dun dun! Dun dun dun, suckers! Dun dun dun! We are ominous and portentous with meaning.
Dun dun dun. They're gonna make me take this video down now because I played this music in the background. Okay. Let's stop it. Let's see if I can get away with that much. Yeah. Okay. Basically, these are this is the order of nihilists, as I said. They believe it is their mission to obliterate any belief in, well, anything. Justice, law, order. Heaven, a higher state of being. And so basically, they're a lot like real-life nihilists. Life is filth. Oh dear, I'm gonna have to take this into the other art program to get rid of some of those marks. Put it on the wrong layer is the problem here. Yep. Put the blue and the black lines on the same layer. My mistake. Oh well, I'll just have to take it into. I'll have to, that's one of the one thing that Manga Studio doesn't have is a color replacing tool. Or if it does, it's well hidden and I can't find it.
The reason they're supporting Blackfoot, Dr. Blackfoot, is because they believe that if he is successful in his experiment, it will basically shatter. They believe it will shatter the faith of billions across the galaxy in anything but a materialist universe. They're not exactly on the galaxy's most beloved list. Basically, because any civilization or culture where they have gained societal dominance, the civilization in question has shortly thereafter descended into anarchy or suicidal apathy. Or straight up suicide. That's right, they've driven entire planets to drink the Jonestown Kool-Aid, you know? Yep. They despot they the thing of it is that they worship their emperor and yet consider themselves to be above the dark heathenism of religion. Beg pardon. Basically, the guys that write Warhammer, they're probably, I get the picture of them as the kind of people that you just basically wanted to punch on general principle while you were at school, you know? The kind of people, if just 10 minutes of talking to them during lunch and you wanted to stuff their lunch jello down their shorts just to shut them up. But nothing you did, changed what they were like. They just sit around feeling justified in their we're just above them all. We I've looked at the White Wolf stuff, and all these. Okay, I've seen the. Let's see. Is the Warhammer people the same people that make the Magic the Gathering and hyphenated stuff? Werewolf, the wankery, and vampire, the tosspots, and really, you read some of the source material. It's like, jeez, get it. Of course, the people that play, it's supposed to be all dark and bleak and nihilistic and everything. It ends up with let's put one of the descriptions I read of a Magic the Gathering campaign. It basically ended with it turned into an interdimensional race, a car race, and at one point they were screaming. the party was screaming down the road this interdimensional levitated highway at 100 miles an hour in a chopped muscle car, firing guns over the front windshield and out the back, and hurtling towards the finish line with a Shoggoth strapped to the hood. And their opinion was that if they didn't win the race, they'd at least get an award for best hood ornament. I love the fact that you try and take people and make them, these people that make these games, they try and soak people in nihilism. You try and take gamers and make them all bleak and angsty and woeful, and they end up with things like Old Man Henderson. Magic, Mage the Ascension. I keep getting those two mixed up, but you get the idea. Mage the Ascension. Yeah, the whole world of Yeah, like they pulled them out of their colon. That was the most awesome story. I kind of resented the fact that people come up with this. I do not like, I would not like Lovecraft as a person or as an artist. What I read about, he was a
he was messed up in the head, seriously. He was racist. He was also xenophobic. And I mean xenophobic in the sense that he literally would freeze up, according to his wife, would freeze up and go into almost a panic attack if he was around too many people of a non-white race. They went, they go to one of these foreign countries, and if he was out on the street and too many people around, he'd freeze up and just stand there with his eyes closed until the crowd's thinned. The guy had a pickled brain, let's face it. Suicidal lunatic. Basically, the whole Lovecraft mythos springs from a mind that should have been heavily medicated. And anyway, then I heard about Old Man Henderson. Old Man Henderson is apparently the only character to ever win at Call of Cthulhu. Well, actually, it was Trail of Cthulhu, which is sort of the junior version of Call of Cthulhu, but same theme. You make a character, they encounter evil horrors, everybody goes insane and dies. Not necessarily in that order. And apparently, for those who don't know, Old Man Henderson, apparently there was this one guy who was in the middle of a campaign with a guy who was a complete knob for a dungeon master, a game master. And apparently this game master, was very fun. If anything didn't go the way he wanted, it was, rocks fall, everybody dies kind of thing. And finally the guy got fed up, went home and spent like 2 or 3 days creating the background for his next character, Old Man Henderson. And according to the guy who witnessed this, it was almost a transcendent creation. The guy handed over, it was something like 300 pages of backstory on Old Man Henderson. And parts of it were written in fluent German. The guy that wrote it didn't know more than a handful of words in the language. And apparently he had been so bombed out on Red Bull and sleep deprivation when he wrote, he started speaking in tongues or something because he wrote that part of, and it was it wasn't just babble either. It was German. And apparently Old Man Henderson was a character who was so bat monkey poo insane that Cthulhu couldn't scratch him. His entry into the story was that he woke up after a dope and booze bender to discover that his collection of expensive antique lawn gnomes had been stolen. They hadn't been stolen. He'd given them away. He'd sold them. But he came to the conclusion that it was that new cult down the road that had stolen all his lawn gnomes. So he put his stuffed parrot on his shoulder, loaded a shotgun, and drove his car down there, broke in and started screaming in a Scottish accent, demanding to know what they had done with his lawn gnomes. And apparently it went, the whole story went downhill from there. Among other things that Old Man Henderson did, he stole a military chopper, used it to airlift a luxury yacht, and dropped the luxury yacht on top of another luxury yacht full of cultists. He he found a page of the Necronomicon and used it to roll a joint. He managed to kill one guy's character almost every session. At one point, he killed the guy's characters 3 times in one night, completely by accident. And for a grand finish, he actually managed to permanently kill the old god Hastur. He and the rest of the team were surrounded in an ice rink for some reason by ravening hordes of Cthulhu-raised zombies. Everybody else was dead, and he had enough explosives to level a small town packed into the ice rink around him. And apparently there is a small there is a rule in Call of Cthulhu and Trail of Cthulhu that when a great old god is summoned to this reality for a very brief time, they are vulnerable. So he stood there singing the Canadian national anthem as the zombies broke in, screamed, "Hastur, Hastur, Hastur," and then lit the fuse. and then he goes, "That's it, we're done." And the dungeon master looked at him and he said, What are you talking about?" And he points out the rule that he summoned Hastur, and within the time frame that Hastur was finite, mortal, and trapped on this plane, set off enough explosives to kill him. The guy that wrote the story said it was the first and only time he had ever seen a dungeon master literally flip the table and storm out of the building. Apparently, the players went on. They say that in other campaigns, Old Man Henderson got resurrected again. He got resurrected in a hell dimension in the afterlife, where his adventures continued. But well, you get the idea. Crazy as heck. And they actually have a scale, a Henderson scale of role-playing campaign disruption. I believe that one Henderson is sufficient to absolutely wreck a campaign. Oh heck! I think Old Man Henderson could be the way that campaign could probably have made a really awesome '80s forces against the forces of darkness kind of movie. Oh yeah, I remember hearing that one. That guy destroys psionics. Another knob of a dungeon master. He basically set them in a campaign where psionics. Now, for those who don't know, Dungeons and Dragons, one of the things they tried to introduce was psychics and psionics, telekinesis and mind reading and all that other stuff. as an entirely separate thing from the magic system. And people, even the people who like it, don't really like it very much. And he basically shoehorned them into playing a campaign where everybody and their cousin was a psychic or a psionic. Because psionics were taking over the world, magic was dying out. So this guy wrote up a character who is basically, picture Dumbledore with fewer restraints. And his objective was to recruit as many, his motivation was that his character was going around trying to recruit as many magically talented children as were left to attend at his magical university. Well, anyway, this character managed to really annoy the dungeon master's girlfriend, and basically they set about to off him. And unfortunately, they really didn't take into account that this was supposed to be an epic level character, because they would try and pull things on him, and he'd do things like turn around and turn him into a newt before they could try anything. And anyway, they ran up against the big bad. And naturally, the dungeon master, holding a grudge, made the big bad concentrate on the wizard. And so the wizard basically pulled a dimensional, shift to another plane scroll. What are they called? A dimensional plane scroll. But anyway, he popped over to the dimension of force, to the plane of force, where psionics draw their power, and cast a spell that basically turned off psionic powers all over the world like a light switch. Boom. The guy went from, the villain went from a level 20 psychic demigod to a level 20 commoner instantly. And the wizard, he had pursued the guy onto the plane of force, and the wizard basically blasted him until he died. Spammed him with a spell that stripped off levels until he finally croaked. And the dungeon master said, nope, and backed up. He basically decreed that time reversed itself and started over. I forget what he did the second time. I forget what the wizard did the second time to kill this guy. But the third time, the wizard, he was a level 20. He had his own pocket dimension that he went to. He retreated to his pocket dimension, waited until the villain chased him. The big, uber villain of the campaign showed up, and then changed the attributes of his pocket dimension to no psionics. And then spammed the guy to death again. And he killed the guy 3 times. 3 different ways. And the dungeon master finally said, "You're out!" Threw him out of the campaign. And all the other players, they immortalized. They decreed that because and the dungeon master eventually left too. They decreed that this particular character was now ascended to godhood, and he was the god of scholars and mages, and that those sworn to his service were the enemies of psionics. That was so epic. you gotta, there are people that derail campaigns all the time, just make it impossible to play with them. But then there are those who manage to do it in a way that just stands out as epic, you know? Oh my. I love these people that they watch Star Trek and they say Star Trek is better than Star Wars because Star Trek is hard science fiction. It's more scientific, it's more realistic, it's more. I'm like, you've never actually watched the show, have you? Look, I'll admit it. Let's admit it. Star Wars is space opera. Always has been, always will be. Not a thing wrong with that, if you ask me. But Star Trek is hard science fiction in the same way that a McDonald's cheeseburger is steak. No, it's not. I mean, really. Old Star Trek wasn't hard science fiction. New Star Trek was even less. I mean, even in the old Star Trek didn't resort to technobabble every other episode. No, literally, I mean, the old Star Trek made fun of the, it actually had an episode where they made fun of the technobabble trend. Called the Corbomite maneuver, if you remember that episode, where Captain Kirk bluffed an alien race that had captured the Enterprise in a force field and said, if you don't release us, we'll detonate the Corbomite in our hulls. And what is Corbomite? There is no such thing. And he said, yes, there is. It's undetectable explosive alloy, and blah, 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 The alien knew he was bluffing, but so was the alien. He thought it was so brilliantly funny that he invited Kirk and Spock over to the ship to discuss things. And But in Star Trek The Next Generation, phlebotinum all over the frickin' place. I remember they had one episode where we need to discover a new element to finish this particular, technobabble device, and it showed them, and it showed one of the scientists in front of a screen flipping through what was supposed to be all these different diagrams of elements. Half of them were molecules. I'm like, "Argh!" Or the one where they were, where they survived a radiation belt they were passing through by dosing the atmosphere in the ship with, and they knew exactly to the second how much radiation exposure they could tolerate before it became fatal. I guess apparently the entire crew is supposed to fall over dead at .01 seconds, Just junk like that. It's, to say nothing of the leftist drivel that motivated nearly every aspect of their cultural writing. But I beat that to death with a stick in Quentin Quinn Space Ranger. Who are Mando and Sibsy? That reminds me, I really got to get back to, I've really got to start working on the Sanguine Chronicles again. I've got so many things I ought to be doing. I wish I was young. Oh, I wish I was young again. I wish I had the enthusiasm and the energy that I had 10 years ago. I look in the mirror and I see a man that should have already had grandchildren. That's just my beard and my hair are almost white now. I'm shaped like a beer barrel. Got legs swollen like elephant legs. I walk with a cane everywhere. My expiration date popped up 20 years ahead of time, I'm a physical mess that I would expect out of somebody 20 years older. Maybe more. And my mental energy isn't what it used to be. There was a time I could crack out 2 or 3 comic strips in a day. My art wasn't as good, but I could write. And, nowadays I have to just trying to squeeze juice out of a turnip. I lost my mobility, I've lost my health, I've lost my youth, I've lost my faith. What little of it I had. Constant state of doubt and depression. And it's eating at me. It's been eating at me a long time. Well, happy birthday, Riley King. Bet I'm a ray of sunshine right now for you. But happy birthday anyway. Okay, my computer's getting a little slowed down here. Hold on. Lagging a little bit. Okay, let's see what we got here. Well, got the rough, got the rough layout for the ships and so on and so forth. Location, pace, spacing and everything. It's not bad. It's a start. Now, actually, a space cathedral would not be shaped like that. I'll tinker with the idea a little bit. Probably leave it like this for the comic, but I might come up with something a little better. A little more space-worthy looking, too. Okay. Turn that off. As Neil Wolf, I am a Christian. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of the living God. I believe that he was born of a virgin, that he lived a sinless life on this earth. That he died at Calvary, was buried and rose again. He died as a sacrifice for the sins of the world, past, present, and future, and that he rose again, and that he said, as he is God the Son, that whosoever would call on his name, whoever would believe he had done this and would turn to him and call on his name for salvation would be saved. He said that, and whoever came in unto him he would in no wise cast out. But when it comes to living faithfully, I believed and I called on Jesus Christ to be my Savior long ago. When it comes to living faithfully as a Christian, I am far from where I should be. So much so that there are many days where look in the mirror and doubt my relationship with Christ. A man can't rely on his feelings. The only thing I can do in times like this is hold on to God's written promise. If you will believe and accept, you shall be saved. I will never leave you nor forsake you. No one shall take you out of my hand, and I shall never cast you out. Because if I had to depend on anything else from myself to earn, to deserve, or to keep salvation, there is no hope. Anybody, if you could lose your salvation, you would. Because you don't stop being a fallen, sinful human creature. You're just one who knows the Savior. The devil pries at my heart constantly. And he uses many things and sometimes other people to pry at it too. Those whom he loves, he chasteneth at times. This is the reason that people cry out, I believe, help thou mine unbelief. Going through tough times doesn't make it much easier either. Right now it seems like there are days where it seems like I can't, it seems like I can't turn my back on anything without it breaking down or running out or racking up another bill or suddenly needing a new prescription or a new pill or a new bandage or one of these days I'm going to walk out that front door, go into my car, stick the key in the ignition, turn it, and the engine's just going to die for the last time. Now, one of these days I'm going to open my front door and it's going to fall off the hinge. One of these days I'm going to turn on the washing machine and it's just not going to run anymore. You know, it feels like entropy has decided to be my new roommate. And you know, it's the large things too. You look out at the state of the world right now. A lot of bad things are ripening on the vine and getting ready to fall. I don't even dare let I don't even dare let myself think of all the things that are just hanging by a thread right now in my life and outside of it. I'm getting old. I'm getting slow. When you're 20 years old, when you're 30 years old, you can keep one jump ahead of things. So, barely, even when things are tight. Half the fact is that you can rely on your body to take the punishment of trying to scrape by. I mean, I'm at an age where I can't do a stretch of, I can't save money by doing a month of living on ramen noodle. If you know what I'm saying, if I tried that, it would kill me. More than likely, I'd probably crap myself to death. And when I was 20, when I was 30, if I ran out of gas or if my car broke down, I could get out my bicycle and bike to wherever I needed to go. Even in my 30s, when I was getting up, I was up to 300 pounds at that point. I looked like a rotisserie. I got a reflection of myself in a window one day riding past a store, and I looked at my reflection and I thought, I look like a butterball turkey on a wire rack riding his bicycle. But I could get around, and even but I could push myself. And nowadays, when I push my body pushes back, and it wins. Lord, it wins. And this is about the point where I should be completely autonomous. I should have, at my age, I should have my life squared away. But I've only become more, despite my level best efforts, I have to keep going back to being dependent on people. And it's it's never good. If you're young, don't think, every old person says this, they say, oh, don't think your youth will last forever. And you're young and you're going, well, duh. But you don't realize, believe me, you really don't realize. You think when you're young, when I was young, I thought, well, someday I'll have to slow down and my knees will hurt and I won't be able to do all the exercise. Won't be able to exert myself like I used to. I'll just have to slow down and work around it. You don't realize just how drastic a change it is to, for instance, reach a point where your knees hurt too bad to walk. Or your legs swell and there's no treatment to make them stop swelling. And you need a step stool to get up into your car or your van or your truck. You don't realize just how dramatically everything changes. It is an ordeal to lie down in bed and to get back out for me. It's like losing electricity. You ever have one of those days, the power goes out and you're sitting there in the dark, it doesn't come back on, it doesn't come back on. And you think to yourself, oh, I'm bored. And you go to turn on the radio and it's like, no. You think, oh, I'll watch TV instead. No. And you're sitting there in the dark, fine, I'll read a book. No. It's dark. And you go to turn on the light and you think maybe I'll play some, maybe I'll read a book or play some cards. No. It's dark. There's no light. And you try and you think, oh, I'll drive someplace where there's power, and you go and you get in your car and you drive out, and the whole half the city. When the power goes out around here, it goes out. There was one day I drove from here in Marietta all the way to Vienna, and the power was out the entire way. No lights on, no traffic lights. No store lights. None of the gas stations had working pumps. That was a mess. Everybody was like, oh, I've got like 3 gallons left. What am I going to do? And you couldn't cook. You couldn't clean. You couldn't do anything. I mean, really, you really don't understand. You think, oh, I'll just go down and, I don't know, hang around the mall or something. You can't do that either. No power at the mall, which means no air conditioning, which means no lighting, which means none of the stores are open, which means, you might as well go stand it in an empty warehouse in 80-degree heat, Hey, I'll go catch a movie. The theater's out. Go to a restaurant, go get a cheeseburger? No. In fact, all the stores and restaurants had to throw out tons and tons and tons of rotted food because thawed everything thawed. Millions of dollars worth of food. All that from just not having electricity. And but on a day-to-day basis, you think of losing electricity as, oh, the lights will be out for a while. It's the same way when you get old, or when you start getting disabled or sicker, or you have a medical condition or anything like that. You don't until it happens. I really can't. I wish I could express to you just how much of a change in my life it's been to have my legs in the condition they're in right now. I went from being able to clump my way anywhere. If I was stubborn enough or desperate enough, I could walk from here to the nearest store, the nearest gas station, or whatever. Not anymore. I can't even walk to my mailbox anymore. Do you know how... I wish I could express to you how... I don't walk to the mailbox. I can't just go down and get my mail. I have to go out. I have to find my... getting the mail. This is getting the mail for me. I get up. I basically waddle from one end of my trailer to the other. I get my cane, get to the other end of the trailer, stop, go to the bathroom. Trust me, by the time I get there, I need to go. Then I go out, then I have to walk down the front steps, and that takes 2 or 3 minutes, cane, arm, leg, cane, arm, leg, cane, down 10 steps, I think I've got 7 or 8 steps, and I have to slowly lower myself down, and then I waddle across the grass, and I trot down the, not even trot, 3 legs, boom, 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 And then I get to then I get to where my van is parked at the end of my trailer. I open the door. I reach in with my cane, hook my cane around the leg of the little stool that I keep in the passenger seat, pull it out, set the stool up, climb up the first step. I have to brace myself again to climb up the first step, climb up the second step, stand on top of the little stool, shuffle until I've turned around so my butt is pointed into the van, and lower myself into the seat. Then I have to lift these two huge hams that I call my lower legs. Literally, my legs are the size of Christmas hams. And it's all dead weight. It's just fluid. And I have to hoist my legs up into the van, fit them between the pedals, reach down, pull the stool up into the van, put the stool over in the passenger seat, close the door. Start the van. Drive a couple hundred yards down to the mailboxes. Stop the van. Climb out. I can climb out without the step stool at this point. I'm fortunate in that regard. It's, gravity is in my favor at that place. Go over, unlock the mailbox, get my mail out. Go back clump back over to the van. Throw the mail into the van. Pull the stool out again. Set the stool up. Climb back up into the van. Pull the stool in after me. Hoist my legs in. Pull the stool in after me. Close the door. Start the van again because I have to use a key to open my mailbox. And then drive back to my home, which is again 200-300 yards. Get out, turn off the van, get out, and waddle back over to my trailer, climb up the steps. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Leg, cane. Up to the front door and go inside. That is me getting my mail. This is why I wait until I have something else to do in town before I even think of going to check my mailbox, because I figure if I'm going to go to the trouble of and out and down and climbing up and down and in and out, then I'd better be driving on past that mailbox afterwards to go do something in town to justify all this ridiculous effort. That is what it means to be handicapped. All the obvious things, everybody knows, everybody can adjust to the obvious things. It's the little things that you don't realize. Like the fact that when I lie in bed, I have to lie in a certain way. I have to put my legs over each other in a certain way. Otherwise, my legs hurt from the weight of one leg being on top of the other. If I lie on my side, I have to cross my legs over so that the one leg, my left leg, isn't resting on top of my right leg because of the weight. It hurts. And you can't. It's difficult to sleep. It's difficult to walk. It's difficult to the longer I sit, I'm not supposed to sit as long as I do in front of a computer. I haven't got much choice. I'm supposed to somehow rearrange life so that I can spend most of my day with my feet hoisted into the air. And every day it's just a little bit more. I've never been good at living on my own anyway, and every day it gets a little bit harder. And I look in the mirror and I wonder how long I'm going to keep fighting uphill before I end up having to move in with somebody or having a living or worse, you know. Yes, my condition could improve under the right circumstances, maybe. If I suddenly lost half my body weight, oh, my legs would still be a swollen mess. But I could accomplish any of the things I need to accomplish if it was the only thing I needed to do. I mean, if the only thing I needed to worry about was, losing weight and getting back in shape and, reducing the strain on my legs and everything, oh, hey, I could be down, I could shuck that weight in no time flat, right? But I've also got to worry about not starving. But, I also have to worry, got things I got to worry, if I could spend all my days with my feet, propped up, hey, no biggie. But I can't do that. If I only had to do one thing or the other, but everything at the same time, this is what it means. This is life. And the reason I'm not just pissing and moaning. I'm trying to get across to you, for those of you who are still healthy, still moderately healthy, I'm trying to get across to you just what it means to lose something that you think isn't all that important, like a part of your health. This is what it means to have bad legs or a bad knee. This is what it means to have arthritis or bad eyesight, or to lose your hearing, or to lose your teeth, or well, you get my point. I didn't comprehend just how drastic a change in my life could be brought about by what is technically a fairly mundane and simple thing: swollen legs. Swollen legs shut me down where being over 300 pounds didn't. Swollen legs shut me down where having no proper vehicle didn't. It shut me down where having to walk everywhere didn't. Where having to walk or to bike everywhere couldn't slow me down. Where being constantly short on money couldn't. But this did it. Now, sometime in the near future, I've got to sit down and I've got to try and persuade our government to give me back my Social Security money so I can survive despite not being able to stand, sit, or walk for prolonged periods. They don't make them in my size, Rem Dog. That's how big my legs are. Circulatory hose wouldn't help. I used to wear circulatory hose. My legs just kept on swelling. Right now, my legs are wrapped in ace bandages, as tight as they'll go. That's the best I can do for them. You see these people, you see this fat person in a mobility scooter. If somebody starts yapping about, oh well, they don't need that scooter, they need to be up and exercise, shut them up, slap them in the mouth. That fat person isn't going to turn thin overnight. No matter how much you try and shame them. And that fat person still has to get out and take care of his life. That fat woman still has to go out and shop, still has to go out and pay their bills, still has to take care of God only knows what. And 9 times out of 10, somebody who's obese has or had other conditions that make it worse. And most of the people that make fun of these fat people in the mobility scooters think, oh, it'll never happen to me. Blow out your knees for a couple of years. Spend 3 or 4, take 3 or 4 trips to the hospital in a year. Hit your 30s and watch your metabolism fall through the basement. I thought I would, I looked at people on the bus who look like I look like now. I thought, I'll never get that fat. I'll never let myself get that fat. It'll happen. It takes diligence to keep stuff like that from happening to you. And even then, even if you're diligent, it can still happen. The swelling in my legs, it's partially genetic. It's inherited. My grandmother had it. My great aunt had it. Runs up that side of the family. My grandmother, she lost a tremendous amount of weight in her last few years of life, but her legs still remained brutally swollen. She could barely walk. She spent the last few months of her life bedridden. There are days I frankly think it would be better off to have these legs amputated than to have to lug these useless waterlogged hams around with me. You think the person who you think that 400 or 500 pound man or woman who sits on that little scooter tooling around Walmart isn't absolutely 110% perfectly aware of their physical condition? Most of them are like that. After a certain point, they give up hope. And you learn to live with the shame, the embarrassment of people staring at you, people staring at your swollen legs, your huge gut. You get used to not being able to find clothes to fit. Oh, I can buy I can buy extra large pants, but many of the sizes won't fit over my lower legs. I have to wear sweatpants. I either have to wear shorts or sweatpants. And the shorts I wear are cut off sweatpants because they won't fit. Otherwise, they won't fit over my legs. It takes a fortune in money and a platoon of people to beat something like this, I think. But we live in a society that spends all its time wondering why everybody that offends us doesn't yank themselves up by their own bootstraps. I'm not going to let myself sit around feeling sorry for myself. Let's be trying to, I did this to myself. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to keep saying it. And I'm going to keep praying that God will give me the strength to undo it. But the cards are stacked against me to some degree. But I did this all to myself. And not overnight. Not even in a year. Not even in 10 years. Just a lifetime of eating whatever was cheap and available. A lifetime of becoming more and more sedentary. I don't know how bad, there's a good likelihood my legs would have swollen up like this even if I had maintained my regular weight, low to normal weight. I always ask people to pray for me because, like I say, I'm not joking when I say, please pray for me. God knows I need it. And pray for my faith as well, because I struggle with that constantly too. I could live with a broken down body, but with a broken down spirit, that's not worth, that's not living at all. I struggle with my faith constantly because I know what the Bible says. I know what I myself did, that I called on Jesus for my salvation. But I look at myself, there are times when I look in the mirror and I go, if I'm a Christian, why don't I have anything, why can't I seem to pull myself together? Why can't I seem to resist the temptations that beset me? No matter how lurid or mundane they are. When most of them come in a Twinkie wrapper, there you go. I need help, but I need a resurgence of my faith. a revitalizing of my soul. I need blessed assurance. I need the strength of Christ. And I need to know how to humble myself and get down on my knees before God and be acceptable to Him to restore the fellowship that a child of Jesus should have with his Father. I'm afraid I didn't see your comment, Remdog. I don't know which one you referred to. What was your comment, Remdog? I'm not sure where Elizabeth is. I'd have to look it up. Well, folks, it is 9:10. I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I wish I could say it, I wish I could be more enlightening than burdening, if you follow what I'm saying. But it is time for me to go. Thank you for the offer, Remdo, but I think I shall be looking for a nearby church. You all take care of yourselves. God bless.